Hello, hello, hello again. Hi, everybody in Facebook land. I am Susanna, and I am on day something, maybe 18 of my 30-day Facebook Lives. And I have to say, I am like really enjoying this, even though the topic is not, the most I don't know, we could, I guess, talk about happier things, but these are good things to talk about. And it makes me happy to talk about them because, as I strongly believe and have shared often, we can't fix a problem if we don't name a problem. And whatever is in the darkness will stay in the darkness unless we can shed light on it. So that's why I'm doing this, talking about these topics, all things narcissist, because I want to shed light on it and bring the words, all my words, to all of you who are listening, even to those couple of people who want me to not use so many words, maybe like no words. Maybe they wish I'd just shut up and go away. Well, as they already know by now, and you all know that's not happening, I'm here to stay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to all of you who have so lovingly shared your time and energy with me on these things, these videos. For all of you who are new to my videos, who've never seen my face or heard me talk or anything, which is a fairly new thing for me. I mean, I am about 18 days into it, so before that it was, just hiding behind my keyboard and writing, telling my story. But now I'm putting my face to my words. Okay, so I want to start because every day that you, if any of you want to win an autographed copy of my new book, You're Still That Girl, which just came out in print. Well, that's not true. Yes. Okay. It came out in print for me. I have copies, but it's not going to be in bookstores or Barnes & Noble until next year. So there's that. But if you want a signed copy ahead of waiting till next year, then all you have to do is share any one of my videos. And I'm keeping a list because I get a notification if you share any of my videos. So you don't even have to let me know that you shared it because I see it. Facebook, lets me in on these things. And I will put your name into the pot. And the more you share, the more entries you get to win a book. Okay, that was pretty exciting. I opened the box of my books last week. That was super fun. So anyway, I'd love to give out some. I'm gonna give them out on the last day of my 30-day lives, which is coming up in a little over a week and a half. I don't know what I'm gonna have to figure out something else to do because I really like doing this every single day. So, okay. We are going to talk today about victim blaming. Now, of course, there's always a ton to talk about. I always say I'm going to talk for 30 minutes. That's never happened. It's not going to happen today because there is so much to talk about it. But before I do that, I just want to put out there that this is a safe space for everybody. If you haven't heard me say it before, I have zero tolerance for victim blaming. There was a comment yesterday by somebody who I think was new to watching me, and the comment was there. I read it, and then it was gone. They deleted it as quickly as it came. But anyway, and I want to put forth that a lot of people don't even know that they're victim blaming, right? So it's not like I'm saying anybody's a bad person for doing this. We need to educate people who, there are those who actually are victim blaming on purpose. And there are those who don't know that they're doing it. But this comment was absolutely victim blaming because the comment included something to the extent of, I had to read it really fast because then it was somebody deleted it as soon as after they posted it. But it was something to the effect of, because we talk about all things narcissist, right? And it was something to the effect of, you know, the word narcissist is overused, not only overused, but kind of, is it really a thing, you know, or is it more like there's two sides of every story? Okay, with all due respect to whoever posted that comment, maybe they are unaware of how victim blaming that statement is. And if, you know, if like some of you, I'm sure you've heard statements like this before where you don't even realize that it's a victim blaming statement, right? Because to be honest, there's a lot of people out there who are putting blame on the victim. I mean, we live in a victim blaming society toward women in particular, right? I mean, that's the whole question of when a woman gets raped, the question of what was she wearing, why was she drunk, why was she at that party, on and on and on. That's the victim blaming society we live in. So this comment yesterday, like I said, that was there, then it was gone. I really wanted to point that out for any of you who might have seen it or seen statements, you know, like that. Now, when I get once in a while, it's not too often to be honest, because I have such great people on my Facebook page, such a great support system of survivors and sisters and overcomers and thrivers, and it's fabulous. But once in a while, I do get victim blaming comments, and I am like, off, get it off, delete, no. I do try to educate first, right? I do, because I give them the benefit of the doubt when somebody says, like yesterday's comment of, are we really going to think that narcissists, you know, do they really have all that blame? Is it more of like, it takes two to tango? I'm going to get to that, by the way, because I know how to tango. And so we're going to talk about that. So my first response when people, you know, throw out victim blaming statements is to educate, right? I give one chance. I educate, then if there's going to be an argument, or, well, there's no argument because I will not engage. Because people who are hell-bent on blaming the victim for everything, I don't have time for them. I hope you don't have time for them. We just, you know, no, we don't have time for them, and we don't want to put up with it. We don't want to engage in that type of conversation. So I don't put up with it on my page. In a very, you know, it's not a confrontational thing that I do, or angry or anything else. It just is, no, we're not doing this. Nope. It's just like my little puppy when she's out and she's in the sprinklers and she gets all muddy and she comes up. It's really funny because she's so smart. She comes in and she goes through the doggy door and she puts two paws, right? And her paws are covered in mud, and she knows. And I look at her lovingly, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So go back out. So victim blaming in this instance, again, that a comment that, you know, because yesterday, well, every day really. So, but yesterday when this comment was made, we're all, well, I'm talking and you all are listening and also talking in the comments and stuff, and sharing your experiences and your stories, and you know that this is a safe place. So when a comment comes in that's veritably just doubting all of us, right? So a statement like that where it says, you know, is it really a narcissist? Is it really all their fault? Right? That casts doubt all of a sudden on all of us, on all of our story. And it casts blame, right? It's taking the blame and it's throwing it on the victim and saying there's something wrong with us. So, okay, so Deb caught that comment. Yeah, so it was here and then gone in a flash. So maybe a lot of you didn't catch it, but I caught it. I tried to respond, but then it was gone. Right? And like I said, I respond, loving kindness, compassion, with a hard-ass line that nobody, you're not going to cross, right? But I'll tell you smiling, lovingly, but no, not crossing that line, especially in this space. Okay, let's get to that. You've all heard that before about there's two sides to the story. It takes two to tango. Yes, that is true. It's totally true. It does take two to tango. It does. My oldest son competed in ballroom dancing for many, many, many years, and he needed somebody to tango with him. It's true. So when we want to tango, yes, it does take two. That has nothing the fuck to do with being in an abusive relationship. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. No. I don't even know where that, I guess it's a cute little cliche for some things, you know what I mean? Like to tango, you do need two. But this plays into, so it takes two to tango. That's another way of saying there are two sides to this story. No, I'm going to tell you what I believe about this whole two sides of the story bullshit. When it comes to when we're looking at abusive relationships, that's what I'm talking about, right? Because this is where the victim blaming happens. So I'm going to settle this score right now. When somebody says there's two sides to the story, right? They are treating both sides as equals, okay? And in healthy relationships, this is totally true, right? When you have two healthy people who one is not controlling the other, one is not overpowering the other, one's not scaring the shit out of the other or abusing the other, right? When you just have two healthy relationships and you have a fight, and you each go to your friends and you're like, hey, I can't believe he said this, and da-da-da. And he's like, I can't believe she said it, da-da-da. Yeah, there's two sides. When you're in a narcissistic abusive relationship, or any abusive relationship, there is an imbalance of power and control. So there is an abuser and there's a victim who is under control of that abuser. So there's not two sides, because the abuser is lying. The narcissist is a pathological liar. So he's not, no, we're not believing him. We're believing the truth. So there's not two sides of the story. There's the truth. So for all of you out there who have, I use the word victim, and I want, because some people are averse to that word. Let me explain when I use the word victim. I use the word victim when somebody is in the relationship, when they are actually a victim to the abuse, okay? Some people prefer to call them targets. I will tell you that in my experience, when I found out that I was a victim, that made me feel much better, right? When I first found out, and I was still in the abusive marriage, when I first discovered and heard that word, that I was a victim of a narcissist and I was an emotional abuse victim, I didn't have a problem with that, because what it did was it took all the blame that I was feeling away from me and put it on who it belonged, right? Once I left that and started my journey of healing and recovery, then I was a survivor, okay? I survived it. I got out of it. I survived it. Then I moved into overcoming and thriving. So that's why I use the word victim, is if you're in it. If it's not a term that, whatever, it's just semantics, but I just want to clarify that that's why I used it. It doesn't mean that we're helpless. It doesn't mean none of that. Not in my book. Okay. So that's what I am saying about this. There no two sides of the story. To those of you who are hearing that right now, who when you go to people and you are sharing, you're in a vulnerable place, you're sharing your pain, you're sharing your experience, whatever it is, to whomever it is that you're telling, when you get that thrown back at you like, well, there's, it takes two to tango. So what that person is actually saying is, yeah, but you were kind of responsible for it. Actually, you were half responsible for it because it takes two to tango, right? So you're like 50%. So what they're saying even more is that you deserved it. Bottom line, they're saying you deserved it. That's why we talk about victim blaming. I'm just looking at comments to make sure I don't miss questions because there's quite a few comments. Hello, everybody coming in. So Dawn gives some great examples of things that are victim blaming statements. You know, when somebody says to you, like she's sharing, you should have known better. You shouldn't have triggered the person, right? Other things is, oh, the biggest one is, why did you stay? Like you're telling somebody, this is what happened to me. And the first words out of their mouth is, why did you stay? Right? What they're really saying is, but you stayed. So that must mean that you wasn't that bad, not telling the truth. You kind of liked it, or you didn't dislike it enough to leave. You're weak, you're pathetic. I can go on. I can go on to more fingers, right? That's what that question is. When it comes to, scroll and see in the comments, when it comes to these questions, especially of why did you stay, right? This is putting the victim, the person who experienced the abuse, into the witness stand. They should not be there. Victims of abuse should not be in the witness stand defending themselves. The abuser should be there, right? We shouldn't be asking, why did you stay? Why did you wear that or get drunk or go to that bar or whatever when women get raped? We shouldn't be asking that. We should be asking, why was he abusive? Why was he allowed to get away with this? Why did he rape? Right? Focus back on the abuser. Yeah, and so good, Bonnie, I'm glad you pointed this out, because this was something that I pointed out at the beginning of that. Sometimes people don't realize that they're making victim blaming comments, right? Sometimes they don't realize that. And that's why I was saying at the beginning is that I'll give people I will educate them first, right? To see, okay, maybe this person just made a mistake and doesn't know what they're saying, right? Because if a person has never experienced a narcissist or has never been in an abusive relationship themselves, they can't understand what it's like to be in one, right? So yes, we can be understanding in the moment and try to explain to them, you know, like Bonnie is saying. So we can explain to them and give them the benefit of the doubt. But then pretty quickly, as the person who is trying to heal and recover, you have to establish that boundary pretty quickly with somebody. It's really hard when it's your own family or when it's your own friends who are doing it. But if somebody is showing you that they're gonna victim blame you, even after you've told them, look, this is not okay, this hurts me, this causes me additional pain, this is not helping me, and I need you to help me because you're my family or friend, whatever. So even if they do it after that, that's the point that you have to start closing those doors to those people, right? And like we talked about yesterday, going into your cocoon and only having safe people around you. And yes, Don, I read your comment. It's so true when people say things like this, no matter if they meant it or not, okay, the fact is that it really hurts because we're already in a position We're already in a place where we have been emotionally beaten down, conditioned, brainwashed by a narcissist who has convinced us that we are shit and we don't deserve anything, right? We're already in that place of blaming ourselves, throwing guilt, heaping judgment and blame and shame on ourselves. So we're already in that place. So when somebody else comes in and adds to that, it can sometimes just convince you even more that you're the one with the problem. So that's why I'm here to tell you that you're not the one with the problem. You know who's responsible for abusing people? Abusers. You know who's responsible for rape? Rapists. Period. Like, end of story. There's no discussion. Like, we shouldn't even be, there's nothing to talk about after that. So when it comes to like I said, so you can, and I've become pretty good at this, you can educate them, you can give them a chance, all right? So I'll give you an example, but then you got to make the call. You got to make the call to protect yourself, right? Because you're in a vulnerable and tender place, and you need to love and protect and nurture yourself and have compassion for yourself, make yourself a priority. So to do that, you need to push anything that's even, remotely toxic from your space. Just remove it from your space. This doesn't mean we need confrontation, and because we all know that, especially when we come right out from a narcissist, we are so tired of confrontation and anger and all of that, and walking on eggshells and so forth. So this can be simple. I'll give you an example of that. One of the women that I work with, well, several of the women, but one in particular, she just had this interaction with a friend of hers who she's starting to figure out. Friend, if you put a definition on friend, what does that look like to you? And then when people are showing you that they're not that definition, you need to believe them. So she is in a place where she is doing what she thinks is right on her healing journey. And her friend, who is always, asking her details of what's she doing and where are things at with her ex and so forth and so on. So she shares this really, sensitive information with her friend. The friend then proceeds over and over again, time and time again, to say, oh my God, I would never put up with that. I don't see how you can put up with that. This is what you should do instead, right? And more comments to that effect. This is not a friend. This is not a friend. This is a victim blamer, right? And her, we can't share our experiences of what we've been through with these kind of people. Again, no judgment here. It's like this, you're not making a judgment if this other person is bad or, no, we're not doing that. It's just, you got to take care of yourself, right? And victim blaming is like rampant. I have lists. I want to make sure that I don't miss. Okay, here is, this is a big victim blamer. And I know all you women know what I'm talking about. Because, and I've heard this, I've been writing for years on this topic and sharing my story. So I've had my share of women. Well, I've had my share of men too, like mansplaining my own experience back to me. That's kind of funny. I'm not going to say I don't enjoy that a little bit, because I find it very funny when somebody tries to explain what really happened to me. Somebody who doesn't even know me. But I also have more than a few women over the years who have said things to the effect of, well, I would never have gotten into that relationship, right? I would have never let him do that to me, right? Like, that would never happen to me. These are all huge victim blaming statements, because what they're saying instead is, I would never let that wouldn't happen to me because I'm up here, right? I'm up here, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm all those things, I'm everything. You're down here and you're not any of those things that I am, because obviously you got into this. Again, it's going back to, it's your fault. It's your fault. That's what victim blaming is. It's your fault. Another part of victim blaming is, again, when somebody is victim blaming you, whether it's just, you know, not believing your story, right? Or again, bringing up stuff like, well, what about his side, right? Or why did he, maybe there was a reason, okay? So remember, I have talked in the past a lot about fence people, the fence sitters. These are people that can, even what you think are your closest friends, when the shit hits the fan, they just stay on the fence, right? And when I was at the tail end and going through, I was at the tail end of the abusive marriage I was in. I was discovering the double life of this man that I, you know, loved and had committed everything to, had children with, all of that. So I was in this very painful place. When I was in that, and I went to my friend to say, he did this, or I think he's doing this, or, and the huge things, like discovering my whole world just blew up in front of me. And this particular friend meant well. I know she meant well. Again, this goes back to, people know not what they do sometimes, so we have to educate them. These fence sitters people, you try, but if they don't, leave them there on the fence. So she would try to examine him, right? Like, well, what about, why is he doing this? Why, maybe he's doing this because of this in his childhood, or this relationship he has with his brother, or this, right? We went off on all sorts of tangents talking about him, why he would do stuff like this. Meanwhile, and I didn't know why at the time I felt like shit, but these conversations made me feel worse. They made me feel so much worse, because I felt like we were trying to excuse what he was doing. We were trying to find reasons, right? Speaking of the fence sitters, these can be friends and family members. So remember, for those of you who were tuning in when I talked about healing and how we had to surround ourselves with just the healthy people, and how do we know we're surrounded by healthy people? Is because when we're around those people, we feel 100% safe. We don't feel like we have to defend ourselves or explain. We feel believed, right? Those are the safe people. When you're going through the separation process, which always is not just the person you're separating from, right? It's family, couple, friends, whatever. This is really hard, especially when it comes to family. You have to very quickly figure out, because you only have, remember, you only have so much energy to spend, which needs to be spent on yourself and on your recovery. So since you only have so much energy, you don't want to spend it convincing fence sitters or family members, especially like family-in-law members of his family. You don't want to spend any time or energy trying to convince them of anything. So here's what I did. I'll give you an example of what that looks like. Don't ask me where I got this wisdom, because I sure didn't have a whole lot of other wisdom in the beginning. I made every mistake there was to make. But for some reason, this I knew. His family, who many of whom I had grown to love, and all of that, and many of whom were exceptional people, I knew that I would be wasting my time trying to convince them of anything afterward. Because you have to understand, remember the smear campaign where a narcissist creates this entire narrative? They're doing that to your family, right? And to their family, to your family, whatever else. So for you to come in sort of at the end and say, hey, this is what's going on, they're like, the chances they're going to believe you, right, are slim to none, because they've already been trained, right, by the narcissist. So I realized that I was not going to spend a moment. Now, if they were to reach out to me, fabulous, fabulous. And one did, in a very sort of back road way, but still, one did, with support. But I thought, no, I'm not even gonna try, right? Because I needed to focus on me. I needed to focus on my kids and recovery and healing. I'm just reading the comments. Yes, I agree. No, don't explain yourself. When we do not want to explain ourselves, right? We want. This is where I'm going to put in this the link to this. I spoke about this, I think, last week. But there's a great little cartoon. It's a cartoon, but it's so worth it to watch, by Brene Brown, and it's on empathy. What this will give you an idea of who the people. You need people around you who have empathy for you, right? You don't want people who are like, I have this horrible situation, or I'm feeling this, and the first thing somebody out of their mouth says, well, at least you're not this, right? It's like, well, I'm an alcoholic. Well, at least you're not a meth addict, right? These are not helpful comments, right? So this is a great cartoon. I'll put the link in because this is what you want. It's a short cartoon. It's a perfect example of what you need to surround yourself with friends and family. If there is family that you don't feel safe around, that this is what happened with my father, right? My father went behind my back. And my ex was brilliant at navigating that whole thing and taking advantage of the relationship that he knew. He knew the type of person my father was. My father is he has no loyalty bone in his body, never has, never will. So the idea to him that you stand up for your family over somebody else, the idea to him that you would stick up for your daughter over your daughter's abuser, that's foreign. That's a foreign language to him. He doesn't get it. So the narcissist, who knows very well what they're doing, took advantage and exploited that in my father. And I had to go through the painful understanding and experience to see that, wow, even your own parent will turn against you. Even your own parent, right? So you need to find the empathy people. And that's why, after this, I hope you'll watch this little cartoon. So I spoke a little bit about this yesterday. Empathy is when you have a friend, let's say, like my best bud from high school, Mitz. She doesn't know what it's like to be in my position. She's never been in anything close to an abusive relationship. She is a fantastic, she's all that. Like she's just great. I mean, she just has experienced like a fantastic relationship, marriage, and all of that. And I have been like, ours is a polar opposite. If you look at the last 30 years, it's polar opposite, right? But she comes to me, even though she doesn't know anything of what it's like to be with a narcissist. She doesn't know what it's like to be in an abusive relationship. She doesn't know what it's like to have, you know, like the father that I do, none of these things. So she just sits with me, you know, figuratively speaking. She sits with me in my pain. Like, I don't know what you're going through, but I'm here for you. And you can talk to me, and you're safe with me, and your story is safe with me. I will never doubt you. I'm here for you. I've got your back. All that shit. Everybody needs a Mitzi. Everybody needs a Mitzi. Kind of like Oprah's Gail, right? Everybody needs that type of friend. The friends, and this is hard. This is really painful for me. There was a time after I got to a place where I was almost like, getting over my ex was getting a little easier. And then the pain was much worse for realizing that two very dear friends to me were fence sitters and having to let go, right? That was extremely painful. Of course it is, right? Because we depend on our friends in our weakest moments. So when we're talking about friends, find those people, again, who you don't have to defend yourself. They're not going to ask you questions like, well, why did you stay? Well, what's his side of the story? Well, it takes two to tango, right? No, they're not going to say that shit to you. You're going to feel safe with them. And when you leave their presence, you're going to feel even better about yourself. You're going to feel even more hopeful about your situation. Those are the people. Even if you only have one, all it takes is one, right? That's all it takes. We don't need 20 friends. We don't know. Even if you just have one, start there. Yes, Beth, it's true. It is hard to find empathy people, especially if we've been in a situation for the majority of our lives where we're not around empathy people, right? So we're on different tracks than other people who are like surrounded by empathy people. You know, I didn't find these people until late in life. But the point is knowing what they look like, right? When it comes to the victim blaming, the worst part of it is when we're doing it to ourselves. So I just want y'all to knock that off now. I know it's not that easy. This is a victim blaming statement. I must have done something wrong to deserve this, right? That's a victim blame. We're blaming ourselves. I'm here to tell you, I don't care what you did, right? It doesn't matter what you did. Nobody deserves to be abused. Nobody deserves to be raped. Nobody deserves to be killed, right? We have a society that is built around victim blaming, especially directed toward women. It's just a fact, people. We do. Women blame each other. Like which we gotta stop. We gotta women, we gotta stick together. So living in the society that is victim blaming, asking, another victim blaming statement is that keeps us in abusive relationships is because we don't want to break up the family. We don't want to become single moms and have a broken family, right? Because we've been told that if there's not a father in the unit, that we're a broken family. I've already told you before how I feel about that load of horse shit. You are already in a broken family if you're in an abusive relationship and you're a victim of abuse and you have kids. Your family is broken because of that abuse. So you take it, and you take yourself and kids, if you have them, out of that, and then you repair it and you put it back together, right? You put your family back together. I am telling you, I am a single mom, me and my 3 boys. There ain't no man in the picture, and we are whole. We're whole. Nothing broken about us. We're whole, right? We do have some super glue in the cracks that we had to like put ourselves back together, but we're whole. So don't buy into that. When we do, we're just hurting ourselves, right? Blaming ourselves in the recovery and healing process. This is totally natural. Again, we've been conditioned to think we're at fault, right? Because we've had a narcissist tell us for a long time that we're at fault. I was told for a very, very long time this is why narcissists are so good at what they do. He didn't come right out and say, you're a horrible mother, right? No, he said it in ways that just eroded my sense of any confidence in my being a mother over the years, right? With little comments here and there. You know, comparing me to every mother in America, that they could all do it. Why couldn't I? Because I couldn't. I couldn't hack it with my own kids. After when I was about to give birth to my youngest, my 3rd son, my mother came up to help me out. Good thing she did, because I had major postpartum and depression, and also my son had major health problems, and he had emergency life-saving surgery when he was 2 months old. So thank God she was there. But to him, I couldn't make it. I couldn't handle things on my own. I needed my mom, right? So these are the type of comments that when this is going on for years and years and years, yeah, by the end, I was like, I'm the worst mother in the world. I can't hack it. I can't do this. I suck, right? I was all about blaming myself. It's understandable that we do this. Of course it's understandable. Yay, Sarah, single mom, 2 boys. Yay, you're whole. Yes, you're whole. You boys are lucky to have you. Okay. I want to leave you today with, to those who are in that place where you are thinking, by the way, this victim blaming is going to keep you of yourself, right? When you're saying things like, well, maybe I deserved it, maybe I won't find another, you know, I won't ever find somebody else like him, nobody will put up with me because I'm not worthy, all that shit, right? That is going to keep you in place. If you want to move forward, you can't stay there. Okay, let's say you hop into your car, right? And you're traveling your healing journey and you want to one day put this all in the rearview mirror. But when you're sitting in that blame and shaming yourself and judgment of yourself, you ain't moving. You ain't moving. The engine may be running, those tires aren't moving. So just remember that when you start beating yourself up. And also remember that nobody has the right to put you, after what you've been through, nobody has the right to put you in the witness stand. It's like nobody has the right, after a woman's been raped, to put her in the witness stand and say, what did you do to provoke it, right? No, we need to put the rapist in there. And whoever is responsible, the narcissist, the abuser, they're the ones, they're the only ones. We need to put the blame back where it belongs. This has nothing to do with the other ways that we are imperfect in our relationships and all the mistakes that we made. You know, I made a ton of them. I remember when I would call him, like, I had nothing else to do, so I'm like, what inventive name can I call him, because I'm so upset. And then I would feel so bad about it later, because I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm being verbally abusive. No. There is, you can't blame yourself for how you reacted within an abusive situation. You just can't. Okay, so for all of you who are in that place, I just want to tell you that here especially, to find, here, this is a safe space. I want you to find your safe space with safe people, right? And if you don't know the difference between somebody being a safe person and somebody being a fence sitter, then watch this cartoon that I put the link in the comments, because it's super sweet, and it might make you cry. Like the first time I watched it, it kind of choked me up a bit, because I was like, yeah, I really need those kind of people in my life. All right. Onward on your journey. You've got this. You're going to make it through this. But for now, if you're broken and feel powerless and helpless and you're hurting, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to get through this. Just feel what you need to feel. Grab onto those who are the safest around you. Get into your little cocoon until you're ready to come out. And you're going to make it. I promise. I promise. If you just go through it, I promise. Remember me, poster girl, who when I was 44 years old, right? That 7 years ago, I would have never, ever, ever imagined I'd be here. Never. I couldn't even envision it, because it wasn't I didn't even have a frame of reference, to think of what did it feel like to be emotionally free and to be happy and to experience real love, not abused disguised as love. So it's out there, you deserve it, and you're going to get through this. Okay, I'm going to leave you with, like I always do, and also please remember, the more you share my these videos, I'll put you in more entries into to get an autographed copy of my new book. Okay, I am putting in my calendar in the links. If you want to, if you don't have anybody safe to talk to, and I'm here for you. I'm here for you. We can chat more about your situation. Hi, Marika in Palm Springs. Yes, I'm here for you. Sometimes it always feels good to talk to somebody who's been there and who doesn't put up with any victim blaming, not even when it comes to yourself. We're not doing that. Not doing it. I won't allow it. I won't allow it, because it's getting in the way of you living your most fantastic life. Also, I'm going to put in the event calendar, schedule, whatever you want to call it, for Chris Godinez and I. We travel around the country talking to small groups of people about everything narcissist related. Come join us. Our next will be in Reno, September 14th. If you're anywhere in your area, it's just a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon for a few hours. Come and get support, guidance, love, a hug. Come give hugs. Be around other people who have similar experiences, so it's a very safe space for all of us. We do keep it small and intimate for that reason. So if you even think about coming, buy a ticket, because the last 2 events were sold out, because it is a small group. Okay, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm sending love and hope and strength to all of you. And for those of you who are actually, let me talk to you who are remember I was talking about victim, survivor, overcomer, thriver, right? For those of you who are close to the overcomer, thriver, or just in that place of strength and you have a voice, yes, also let's unite in this. We're not going to put up with victim blaming at all, period. Right? We're just not going to put up with this judgment on victims of any kind. We're going to change it. We're going to change it. Society got this way. It's not like we were created in the beginning this way. We got this way, so we can undo it. So the more people can stand up, especially women who are in positions of strength and can use their voice, I encourage you all to do so and stand up for your sisters who do not have a voice and who are still in the darkness, struggling. Okay, all right. Love to all of you, and I'll see you tomorrow. And no issues today with the video. That's very cool.